crews have literally had their backs against the houses they are defending against the flames. We have live team coverage for you. Fox 13 News reporters Spencer Joseph and Julia Sandor are on scene for us tonight. Guys, this is frightening.
Seriously, Bob, I mean, we were actually up very, very close to the flames. My photographer, Aaron Kimball, and I, we were going to check out the subdivision right where you see all of those flashing lights up there that had just been evacuated. And that's where we found fire crews actually, you said it, with their backs against the houses, right, using people's garden hoses to put out brushes that could have caught those homes on fire. While we were up there, we didn't see a single structure lost, but we saw dozens and dozens of fire crews that were up there trying to protect those homes.
We officials told us earlier, about an hour or so ago, there were 150 firefighters up there at the time, and they were all working on their feet to get that fire out as quickly as they could. And you know, there's a lot of neighborhoods up there, a lot of houses that were close to the line of fire. And I mean, you guys were closer than I was, but our evacuation site, or where we were talking to officials, we were evacuated. We had to come down, make sure we were okay, and we're at a park where, you know, a lot of evacuees are now.
Yeah, and a lot of people are waiting for answers. One of those people waiting for answers is Lisa Olson. We'll have her join in here now. Lisa, you have a home up there.
I do.
What are you thinking right now?
I'm very scared. It wasn't on my bingo card today to be evacuated for a fire. It's very close. We saw that it was going up the mountain, and we thought that we were going to be okay. And then at 6 o'clock, the wind shifted, and my neighborhood filled with ash and smoke.
Yeah. So you're in that neighborhood that we were just in. It's something Cove.
I'm not there.
Okay.
I'm right on the divide.
Right on the divide.
Right out my front door is the flames.
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, what do you think of all these fire crews that are up there that are literally risking everything to save these properties?
I'm so happy. It was so neat to watch those three. They were working in tandem, and then I saw them drop the retardant a little earlier, and just to see that helping everybody, and just to know that maybe my house will make it, and I'm not going to lose my life.
Yeah. And I know you said you rushed from work to get back to your house.
I did. I work in the Ogden Valley, and it filled the entire area with smoke. I came home over the divide and wanted to see if there was anything I needed to pack up and get any important documents, and so that's what we did, and we kind of felt a sense of safety for a minute, and then it wasn't.
So there have been fires around here. I've covered a couple that have been up the canyon here. Has this been something you've thought about in the past?
No, because most of the fires are in the Ogden Canyon, not the North Ogden Divide. We don't see a lot. There was a car fire last year. Somebody's car caught on fire going up it just because it's so steep up and down. But we have never experienced anything in the time I've been here for 11 years. I've never seen anything like this ever.
When you were going to grab those documents, what kind of things were you thinking about getting? I mean, obviously birth certificates, social security, passports, that kind of stuff.
Marriage licenses, dogs' vaccination records, proof of ownership.
So you had some dogs with you as well.
Yeah, I've got my dogs with me.
Oh my goodness.
Had to make sure that they started panicking when the smoke started coming in and the ash was filling the house when we were trying to move in and out. We live on a very busy road. They kept trying to run out on the road because they were scared, trying to hop into the car like, I know we're leaving, let's go. And when I first stepped here and I met you, I was kind of hyperventilating. Yeah. I'm very happy that she was here to help talk to me and give me some information. And I do feel a sense of peace from looking up there, that it's gone up, and I could see all the firefighters working hard.
And you said you just talked to your husband as well.
I did just talk to my husband. He just called me 5 minutes ago. He's up there manually running the sprinkler lines. We don't have any power, so we just try to get the valves on. He said there's a lot of people in looky-loos coming through the neighborhood still, even though it's all shut off. He's very worried about any type of damages that might be happening up there as well. But he did say, I think we're out of it, the rough of it. But I don't think we'll be sleeping on tonight.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. But, it sounds like at this point you have a home. That's good news.
Yes.
Take us back a little bit earlier in the afternoon. I mean, we were here on scene during our 4 and 5 o'clock hours. We went wall to wall the whole time for 2 hours. Cell signal's been rough around here. I think something happened with that. But take me back. What were you looking at about 4 o'clock? It was not coming this way.
No, at 4 o'clock it was still very white flames. It was going up the canyon. It looked like it was being contained. The air was starting to clear up. Even everybody in the Ogden Valley was telling us it's pretty clear over here. We lost power around 3:05-ish. So right when I got to the house, we couldn't make any phone calls. We couldn't text. We couldn't see the news. Nothing was working, so we had to turn the generator on in order to get our Wi-Fi so that we could talk to people. I'm sure right now I have a bunch of missed messages from everybody asking me if I'm okay, and they're not coming through at all. So once that wind shifted, though, at 6 o'clock, that was the part that was really, really scary.
Yeah. And we saw it kind of, we were at a command evacuation center that was kind of on the edge of where this was going. And you got evacuated. Yep. We were in your neighborhood when the evacuation got called out. So, but we're glad you're safe. We're glad you're home safe.
Thank you.
And that fire crews are doing it. Lisa, thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you for talking with us. We appreciate it.
So yeah, guys, I mean, very scary situation for all of these crews up here. I believe you're looking at some of that video that we were able to shoot while we were up there. The massive flames coming right up to the back of people's houses. And that was stuff that my photographer and I, Aaron Kimball, were able to capture. Guys, I want to ask, do we have that sound from evacuees that we were able to gather while we were up there that we could go to?
Do we have that, Dakota?
Okay.
Yes, we do have.
Let's go ahead and listen to that. Listen to those people that were evacuating.
In the last 20 minutes, the wind's come up, and it is making me worry. Yeah, so it's been about 5-10 miles an hour in the past few hours, and this feels like 15 to 20.
You saw the fire come out. You've been watching it. Now you're order evacuation. Tell me what's going through your mind right now.
Get anything, pictures, things that you can't replace.
What are some of those things that you're grabbing right now?
Some clocks that my father was a jeweler, and he had some pictures of my family that are irreplaceable that nobody else has pictures of.
Now you are taking a look at some of that video. I apologize for a little bit earlier. This is that video that we were shooting. You could see those firefighters are actually grabbing garden hoses from people's houses. They were putting out the bushes in the area. They were bringing every unit they possibly could. It was, as we were standing there, I would say, maybe 20 firefighting apparatuses are coming through. Police are coming through. They're making door knocks. They're trying to make sure that everyone is out of homes. And I would say in the course of about an hour is where it went from very calm. There were people that were saying, I don't think we're going to evacuate, to everybody throwing everything in their car they could and trying to get out as fast as possible. That's something you've heard here too.
And even talking to Lisa earlier, she said seeing all those vehicles come by, that's what alerted her. That was the sign of, okay, this is getting serious. We do need to get out and make a change. She said her husband was running the sprinklers. She said neighbors were doing the same thing, and they were just trying to make sure they could keep a guard up on their own home. And fire officials just want to make sure no other people are going up those roads. Nobody should be blocking off. They have firefighter crews and their trucks stationed in specific spots so that people don't get through and so that they can fight the fire on their own.
Yeah.
So make sure
Spencer,
everybody else is safe.
Spencer and Julia, I want to ask you, in the video that we've been looking at, the firefighter with a garden hose, I'm surprised he had a garden hose and not a fire hose. What's the deal with that?
Well, I could actually tell you on that there were several apparatuses. There were several people actually pulling line off the trucks. That was there too. He was kind of an extra hand, and he looked around and went, there's a garden hose. Let me add extra to this. So it wasn't, he was fighting the fire with the garden hose. He was an extra hand that was really trying to do. And I will tell you what, that garden hose put out some of those closest bushes right to those homes. And he was right there when some of those caught. And so it was a really, he was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, well, and my goodness, everybody is stunned that these flames, with their size and with the winds as fast as they have been, that we haven't lost any homes. Right at this moment, can you give us any confidence as to whether we're going to lose any homes tonight?
Well, we're going to show you. In fact,
Yeah.
we're going to step out of the way so that you
Come
could
this
see
way.
this. So this is the community that we were just in, and you could see how close those flames are to that community. You can also see how many firefighters are just right around that community. You can see all the red
Yep.
and white flashing lights.
The thing is, the wind keeps changing.
Yeah.
So it's unpredictable. That's what the firefighter crews are saying, and they're doing the best they can, but you don't know which way is going next.
And I mean, you could see these hot spots are literally
Yep.
all around, surrounding this community. But fire crews were literally on all sides of it, Bob, with even garden hoses, but all those apparatuses trying to do their best. And while we were up there, this was about an hour ago. It was about 8 o'clock that we left that community. There were no homes that had been damaged at this point because of the valiant effort of those firefighters. I could tell you from here, I don't see a huge change, but again, we're about a mile away now. It was at that point where fire crews were coming in. We felt like we needed to leave and get out of there. Julia's area, which was a little bit to the west of us, was also evacuated. But yeah, at this point, we feel as if when we left at 8 o'clock, there were no homes that were damaged. Has that changed in the last hour? Will that change overnight? That is the big question,
Yeah.
Bob.
All right, you guys. Stay where you are. We will come back to you, and of course, we will keep our eye on this, and we're going to get to Breck Bolton in just a moment, but I've just been handed this note. If you want to come back to me, we're going to hold off on the evacuation information for right now, but if you'll come back to me, I want to let you know we've just gotten word that the jury in the Nicholas Rossi case has come back with a verdict of guilty. Nicholas Rossi, as you may recall, is accused of faking his own death to avoid charges of rape back here in Utah in 2008. A Salt Lake County woman's case against him has been tried this week in Salt Lake County. And now the jury returns a guilty verdict against Nicholas Rossi. Maithili Gubi is live down at the Matheson Courthouse, and we will hopefully get to talk with her in just a little while. Now, back to the fire. And before we go to, let's go ahead and do the evacuation area. It's been expanded now. Authorities are asking all residents to leave the area if you live east of 1050 East and north of 2850 North. Mason Cove has been entirely evacuated. North Ogden city personnel are knocking on doors to notify residents that they need to leave. If you live in that area and are seeing and hearing me right now, you need to leave the area. Now, the Red Cross has moved the evacuation shelter to 3602 North, 500 West in Pleasant View, because the first location lost power. It was a government building. This new location is an LDS church building next to Weber High School. The Red Cross says staff is there to help. They have water and snacks. And now this isn't just for people who have been evacuated because of the fire. Anyone who has lost power is welcome to join us there. Join the folks there at 3602 North, 500 West in Pleasant View, the new location of the Red Cross shelter tonight. There you have it right there on the screen. Now back to the fire itself. Now, Breck, you forecasted that the winds were going to pick up between 6:30 and 8:30 tonight, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, I know. It was going to be a tough situation, I knew, as far as the winds were concerned. I was hoping that they really get a handle on the blazes because, yes, here over the past couple of hours, those winds increasing, where in our 4 and 5 o'clock newscasts, we were looking at sustained winds, anywhere between 2 to 7 miles per hour, wind gusts upwards of 10 miles per hour. Now, as we look right near the fire, Winds out of the northwest, 17 miles per hour. That is sustained winds, a persistent breeze. As Julia mentioned, somewhat the wind direction kind of changing, a little bit erratic. It's mainly northwest, which under that northerly component that starts to push the flames a little bit further south, where here throughout the afternoon it was more westerly, which was forcing the flames uphill. But yeah, that northerly component definitely changing the situation there. And of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on these winds, where it's not only sustained winds that we've been looking at, but these wind gusts coming through. And as you look kind of at the topography of that area, when you get that northwest flow banking up in mountains, you kind of get these little eddies, so sometimes the wind direction can quickly change. Now, we do have a boundary layer towards the northwest. Near that boundary layer, we've been looking at some thunderstorms producing an outflow of winds, and that's what we're finding here. The thunderstorms not pushing through that area. You can see off in the distance through northwest portions of the state, Box Elder County, that's where we've been seeing some active weather, producing some gusty winds. With that, that's going to be still tracking here across northern Utah. I'm not expecting to see rain here in the overnight hours. No, with that boundary layer, we've been looking at just those outflow winds, and again picking up. Here's the good news though, looking ahead, where we're going to see winds slowly decreasing as we head up until about midnight, and looking good here in the overnight hours. You can see winds here along the Wasatch Front, again on that range between 10 to 20 miles per hour, a little bit stronger in Utah County as we look towards southwestern Utah, also finding winds here throughout the evening in that similar range. But that's looking at current winds and sustained winds. But again, looking at the wind gusts that we've been seeing, especially over the last 2 or 3 hours, in some areas again above 35, even upwards of 40 miles per hour. And this was the issue, and this is why we've seen this resurgence in the fire and those flames moving along. Now let's talk about looking ahead with the winds, particularly as we look towards the central northern end of the Wasatch Front. Once we get to about midnight and then the overnight hours, things settle down just a bit. As we head into tomorrow morning, you can kind of see these winds more on a range of between 5 to 10 miles per hour. Heading into tomorrow afternoon, though, as we're bringing in some moisture, changing the flow out of the southwest, we're going to see the development of some thunderstorms once again. Now, with those thunderstorms, they could bring some rain if that rain falls right over where the fire is. But with these thunderstorms, we know once again they're going to produce some gusty winds, where we don't see that thunderstorm activity until tomorrow afternoon, kind of on a range between 3 and 6 p.m. This is where we're going to be really keeping a concern with the winds. Hopefully, though, with these thunderstorms, it does produce rain, but we don't see that happening again until tomorrow afternoon. So focusing on these winds, again, slowly decreasing. Once we get past midnight, I think we're in the good as far as no big concerns with the winds, and humidity levels will be up. Now, red flag warnings, as they have been in effect today, will continue to be in place for tomorrow all throughout northern, central, into eastern Utah. Yeah, low humidity and these persistent winds, that's a concern for the fire danger here as we move through Thursday. It was hot, so this is kind of an insult to injury, or injury to insult. We can see those triple-digit temperatures today, where we reached a high of 102 degrees in Salt Lake City. That tied the record. Several locations getting up into the triple digits. Are we hanging on to the heat, and do we see improvements with those winds? As we look ahead, we'll check on that 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Breck, before we let you go, earlier, 2-3 weeks ago now, we were talking about how wildfires like what we've been covering, and I'm thinking of the Monroe Canyon fire down in southern Utah, would produce their own weather conditions.
Correct.
Are we seeing anything like that with this fire, the Willard Peak Fire?
No, we're not seeing that intense heat. Yes, we're seeing heat near the fires there, but of course, as we talk about some of those weather events that we see directly influenced by the fire, like those, fire tornadoes, if you will, or those pyrocumulonimbus clouds, which can produce themselves downburst winds. We just haven't seen that intense situation as of yet. We're definitely keeping an eye on that. Really, we're looking at what we're seeing more on a large scale and what's pushing through to produce those winds. And as I mentioned, winds should be improving here over the next couple of hours and shouldn't be a big issue moving in the overnight hours. But tomorrow they get going again. So once again, we hopefully see these firefighters getting a handle on it here over the next few hours. Overnight, I'm sure they're going to be keeping an eye on those hot spots, because if we don't really get a handle on that come tomorrow afternoon, it's once again going to be another concern, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that, as the winds will be much more of a factor tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, now, forgive me, I don't mean to beat a dead horse here.
Sure.
But what are the conditions that would have to be present to have the Willard Peak Fire start producing its own weather?
A larger scale. I mean, this is a fire that's now moving and additional coverage there, but we're talking hundreds and thousands of acres of seeing that heat and a lot of large scale heat going up into the atmosphere that really starts to produce its own climate. So we're not quite there yet. Again, we're mainly influenced by what's happening outside of that area that's producing the winds that we're keeping a focus on.